Hello, welcome back to Trailer Trash. That's what it's called. Today we're checking out something very special, something very near and dear to my heart. And I always have to remind myself that this joke doesn't work because you already saw the title. It's Saw 10, the trailer. Let's check it out.
Out of all the men to cheat, you picked John Kramer?
There's your trailer before the trailer again. But also, Tobin Bell, the Jigsaw Killer. Spoilers, by the way, if you never saw the Saw movies. The actor, I could have sworn was dead. I thought I had heard he died. No, apparently he's still alive. He's like 80 or something. Fucking crazy, but yeah, good on him. I thought I'd share that.
The cancer is still spreading. I'm afraid there's nothing else we can do. There is one person who might be able to help.
They kept with tradition of having a blue filter over everything. What the hell is that? Is this supposed to be like a flashback or something? Why is everything so fucking blue? That's probably a white building. But no, honestly, I feel from what I recall of watching the Saw movies, a lot of them always had. It was more green. It's like a green and a yellow. But at least in the first one, when I try to picture the room they were in, yeah, it was like a blue filter over everything, which is weird. But yeah, I was gonna leave my thoughts on the Saw movies in general for the end, but now that we're already into it, I don't mind the Saw movies honestly that much. I like the little twists and turns that they manage to pull off. The first one's obviously the best, but even the second one, it's okay. And apparently how they ended the series, at least the last I saw, was also a really cool twist. I guess I won't spoil it, but a character comes back from a previous Saw movie, and it turns out that they're the new Saw killer. It's really one of those things where it's unnecessarily convoluted, the timeline. At least between 1 and 2, you had a nice little... They do kind of like a convoluted timeline with it, but at least there's some... It's just 2 movies you have to worry about, whereas as the movies went on, they kept trying to add stuff in, like, oh, well, while these killings were happening, he was also doing this. But it's just like, how was he doing that? What? This character was involved in this movie somehow all of a sudden, but it's like, but didn't... I don't know. It really convoluted timeline, seemed really unnecessary at the time, but from... just a movie standpoint, they're harmless films on their own. I don't think they're terrible. Obviously, a lot of them are going to be worse than others. And of course, there's the argument that they're, gore porn, which is true. But I guess I don't mind that. I don't know. A lot of the kill traps are really clever and interesting. And when you put yourself into that situation, it really makes you think what you're willing to sacrifice and all that jazz. The concept of the movie. It's cool how if you are empathetic enough with the characters, you are very much drawn into the whole idea of the film. Like you put yourself in that character's shoes and say, what would I do, sort of thing. So that's that.
There is one person who might be able to help.
Our program is a 2-pronged treatment outside Mexico City. The results have been stunning.
She saved my life.
You're in very good hands with us.
After that, what happens then?
Your whole life happens then. John Kramer.
According to these scans, the tumor was never removed.
Dun dun dun. Is the doctor the Jigsaw Killer? Oh shit. We're gonna keep watching.
How much time do I have?
Months, at best.
I still have a lot of work that needs to be done.
Oh wait, why is the patient that she saved Or does she work with the doctor too, but also was saved by said doctor? Why is she in the trap? The concept, for those of you who don't know, with the Saw movies, has always been, at least with the traditional Jigsaw killer, Tobin Bell over there, was that people who had horrible lives or weren't making the most out of their lives would be put into these situations where they had to sacrifice something or die in a trap. That was basically the whole. That's the whole concept of the series, essentially. But then you had like copycat killers and false killers. I guess that is a copycat killer. But you think it's the Jigsaw killer, but it's not, and all this other BS. There's a detective, I think, who has this huge, like, overly dramatic story arc that involves the Jigsaw killer and all that. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's just a trailer, but you can't paint this character in a decent light, being like, oh, my life was saved by this doctor, and then show him mercilessly torturing her. It's like, it's a bit strange.
Hello, everyone. It's time to play a game. You all pretended to cure me, but what I have planned for each of you is very real.
Peace came upon me. No light, no sound.
The only thing I have not provided is your anesthetic. But trust me, you will want to remain alert.
Well, it's official. They went off the deep end. It only took them 10 movies. They did it. What is this? What is this trailer? I mean, I kind of like that, because one thing the Saw movies do have a hard time with is brevity. They're very heavy-handed, very, very dark, So it'd be interesting to see if they changed up the formula a bit and made it just a bit more wacky. Though I also kind of hate that, because that was sort of the identity of the Saw movies, was very grim, very dark, very what's the word? Hopeless type films. You don't watch a Saw movie to have a laugh or be happy. And with horror movies nowadays, it seems like there's a lot of that kind of like, oh, well, let's throw a joke in to kind of dumb down the intensity, or it's not just a horror movie, it's also a comedy, why the fuck not, that kind of stuff. And for the most part, I don't mind it. I think it's stupid, but for the most part, I don't mind it, except when you're adding it to something that's already like has its set theme, set tone. Again, this might just be the trailer doing this. Maybe the movie itself doesn't do it. But so what we're gathering from this is they pretended to cure him. I mean, they did say, according to the MRI, it didn't get removed. Didn't get removed is the wording, not it grew back or that. But why would they do that? Again, it's leaving enough interesting questions for me to actually want to go see the movie to get some answers. That, and I trudged through 3 through 9 already, so might as well watch 10 as well. Or is it Saw X? Saw X. Saw go in space. Saw goes to Manhattan.
Of all the men to cheat, you picked John Kramer? Please, don't hesitate. Place a big enough piece of your cerebral tissue into the glass enzyme tank. This will save your life.
So sweet.
Oh, is that all? What? Give yourself a lobotomy and it'll save your life. I feel like some of these have gotten a lot more extreme over the years, and that's the other interesting thing about the movies. Again, why I don't really have a problem with the whole gore porn aspect of it is it's fascinating to see where they come up, like what they come up with next. Like, okay, we've seen this, that, and otherwise. What other BS can they throw in without, kind of jumping the shark, which this kind of seems like it may be doing. But again, they say that this is Jigsaw's end, but how much do you want to bet? How much? I'm asking honestly, how much you want to bet this does really well in the box office, and all of a sudden there's a Saw 11, there's a Saw 12, there's a Saw 13, and then the whole thing dies off again. Oh, reboot. Years later, we do a reboot, and then it does terrible, and then we never hear of Saw again. I'm going a bit way too far with this analogy, but seriously, in horror movies, you don't say this is the end, because it's never fucking the end. Like, never. Never once has it been the end. Honestly. I tell you, people.
This is not retribution. It's a reawakening.
Oh, I think that is the detective from... Or do I just recognize that actor from something else? Oh, well, that's a brilliant picture of... Yeah, whatever.
Live or die. The choice is yours.
Oh, they brought back the lady from Saw 2, who's always been a part of the movie series, along with Tobin. So it's really not actually that shocking. Now, if they brought back Carrie Elways, that would be surprising. So yeah, that's the Saw 10 trailer. When I stopped myself earlier is because I had all these wild speculations of what they could do with the end of the series. Jigsaw, Tobin, Kramer, whatever, Cosmo, whatever his name is, goes to get surgery to cure his brain cancer, but it doesn't happen. Now, why would that be? They don't do it. They tell him he's cured. Turns out he's not. Obviously, he goes all Jigsaw on them. But why would they do that unless they know who he is and double saw him, double trap, like he puts them in a trap, being like, aha, I'm getting my payback, even though he just said it wasn't retribution, but he's like, I'm gonna put you through hell and all this jazz. But the whole time, actually, they were jigsawing him. They're putting him in a you gotta end the series by having Kramer be put in a trap and then have to make that decision of live or die, right? Like, that would be interesting. And also, given the fact that he's dying, he knows he's dying, well, what would his choice be? He would just go with it. He'd be like, all right, fair cop, I'll just die. Hell of a way to end a series, right? Having the killer be like, you got me, I'm dying. Yeah, that was where my mind was going, but I had to stop because the trailer wasn't over yet. But for the most part, it just looks like a typical Jigsaw being Jigsaw, even though it does, to me, again, feel like he's breaking some of his own rules. One of the fascinating things about the series is kind of this code of conduct of Jigsaw and how he runs things. And it's like, well, people who, again, aren't living their life well, or throwing their life away or what have you, they're the victims. And then you don't put them in an unwinnable situation. In fact, I think that's how they find out that there's a copycat killer, is because one person dies, like a cop, a detective who is on Jigsaw's trail dies, but when they investigate the body, they realize that they had no way out, and that's not his MO. And so they're like, oh, there's somebody else out there doing the same thing. That being said as well, the traps, like dude giving himself a lobotomy, it's a bit hardcore. You're almost guaranteed. I mean, I guess unless the guy's a brain surgeon, but the dude looked like he had to just kind of feel it out. Like, you didn't even give the dude a chance to do it properly. Like, it seems like you're asking for him to accidentally kill himself. There's always been traps where it was like, you really got to go through some suffering, but you don't die per se. I guess that's not true, because I think in the first one there's a dude who bleeds to death on razor wire or something, but he was going with the prompt, but just didn't make it in time. Something like that. I don't know. Maybe I don't know the Saw movies as well as I think I do, but they have an interesting lore. They're an interesting set of movies to watch just for a lark. Again, the later ones, of course, aren't amazing, though I did like the twist at the very last one, if that was the last one that I'm thinking of. But also the traps, again, should one-up each other and get better and better as they go. I remember one of my favorite Saw traps. I don't remember what Saw movie it was from. It was one of the later ones, but there's a really fascinating trap just conceptually where it was like a guy wakes up with his mouth sewn shut. I think that's how the movie started. A guy wakes up with his mouth sewn shut, and he's tied to another guy who has his eyes gouged out. So he can't see, this guy can't talk. And it was something like the guy who can't see had a key to the device, like a device was moving them closer and closer together and was going to like break their necks or something. And so the guy who couldn't talk had to get a key from the blind guy, but he couldn't communicate with the blind guy and be like, hey, I'm going to save us. Don't worry. Let me, cooperate with me. I'm in this with you. And of course, the blind guy wakes up panicking, freaking out. And so the mute guy can't do anything with him because the dude's just going to like start throwing fists or whatever. And so it's really, I may be getting a little bit of it mixed up, but the basic premise of it. And I was just like, that's fascinating. Like, who comes up with that? That's just bonkers to me, but also really cool because again, when you put yourself in the character's position, in this case, it also sort of breaks the Saw rules because I guess the blind guy was sort of just doomed to die. It was more the mute guy who had to make his way out. But like, what do you do? Like how do you get out of that situation unscathed? Well, and also I think it even ends with the guy gets out okay, but he like screams and the stitches break off and it's all bloody and stuff. Really fascinating movies, I gotta tell you. But let's check out the comments. Tobin Bell was born to be this character. Well, it's funny you say that when I can't even think of anything else Tobin Bell was in, honestly. Yeah, I mean, he is a creepy guy. I remember my manager at I worked at a movie theater, and the manager went to, I don't know if it was like a Comic-Con or what, but he went somewhere and he said he saw Tobin Bell, and like they made eye contact, and the manager, as he explained it, he waved. He's like, "Hey, don't murder me," like to himself, but it was like freaked the hell out of him because it's the Jigsaw Killer, like kind of unnerving. But yeah, that's my story about Tobin Bell, which it's not. It looks like it was made in 2007. So glad the classic Saw vibe is back. Also, Amanda taking the mask off is so cool. Yeah, 2007. I guess that was the era of putting random color filters over everything. Actually might be true. At 80 years old, Tobin Bell is still giving us amazing performances as John Kramer. I'm so happy they're going back to the roots and setting this right after the first movie. Can't wait. Wait, what the fuck? This takes place after the first movie? What? Oh my god, I wasn't kidding about the timeline being convoluted. I don't remember that. Oh my god, yeah, you know what? I think he dies. Ah, shit, I forgot. Yeah, I think Saw dies, or the John Kramer dies in one of the Saw movies. Maybe? That sounds right. It's oh, fuck me. It was the second movie. I'm such an idiot. I forgot he dies in the second movie. And yeah, this would take place right after the first one, because this... Oh my god, yeah. Because I think he was like... He traps a surgeon, and that's a big part of the second movie, is he trapped a surgeon to do brain surgery on him. Probably because this surgery failed. Oh, I can't believe I completely... And I was doing that whole stupid, like, oh, he should be put in a trap and I did survive and... Fuck. Why did I completely forget? That was, like, sort of a major plot point. That's kind of like the end, the denouement of the second movie. I completely forgot about it. Not the denouement, it was like the climax. It was like peak climax. People got their heads blown off and shit. This is my favorite series ever, not just in horror, but the story is so enthralling and the traps are so intricate and interesting, and I love the dilemma between John Kramer being bad for putting them in the traps and the victims themselves being terrible people. I will keep watching these for as long as they come out, no matter how silly, out there, or bad they get. Well, I agree with the first part of that comment. I don't really think they should keep making movies because... I mean, honestly, you'd get a real Star Wars complex out of it, you know, where it's like, man, it was great being a fan, but now it's awful. They really need to know when to quit on some things, and hence my joke about how if this does well, suddenly, oh, Jigsaw isn't over. Wait, yeah, that doesn't even make sense with the previous comment having this take place after. This trailer was doing the whole, like, oh, Jigsaw's final... his final jig, but it wouldn't be because the second one. And also, why would number 10 take place after number 1? It'd be between number 1 and 2. You got number 10. That actually doesn't make any sense at all. But full disclosure, I am 100% sure now that he died after the second movie. So what is this even? I'm not necessarily a fan of the series, but I do respect Tobin Bell for what he did in bringing the franchise where it is, sans Spiral. I don't know what that is. He is the franchise. In a twist, we sympathize with him here. Wait, in a twist, we sympathize... In a twist... Fuck. He was done dirty and technically... Why can't I read today? He was done dirty and technically he's not in the wrong here. Who knows? Maybe he would have stopped his games if he was actually cured, but it looks like this pushed him over the edge and turned him into the insane psycho many have come to love. This time, he's the good guy, and while I usually steer clear of these movies, go get 'em, John. Well, I wouldn't say good guy. The real term here would be anti-hero. You know, kind of like a film noir main character. You're not supposed to like them or even say that they're good, but given the situation, they're the ones you sympathize for. They're the ones you want to see succeed and perhaps have a change in some way for the better. But yeah, no, it's a good point. Tobin, it's funny now that I think about it that he wasn't in a lot of the movies in the series, but this is kind of a big deal that they're bringing him back. That's probably why I thought he was dead. It's because why would you keep making Saw movies but not have the original character? Other than the fact that you killed him in the second movie. But still, apparently prequels galore in this fucking thing, or at least, you know, interspersed timelines. I gotta find a diagram, just as a gag. I gotta find a diagram of the Saw timeline. Give me a second. All right, well, strangely enough, I found like 2 timelines, but none of them I can actually go to look at, because this takes me to like a site to buy them. I found this one, which looked interesting, but it literally just shows the release dates of each movie, not the timeline they take place in. But you gotta believe me when I say the timeline's fucked. So, moving on. I seriously love how personal this is, especially that they are focusing on Jigsaw entirely and run his game, then being in the background. Tobin is an absolute legend, can't wait. Yeah, I'm kind of getting that from the comments. I didn't get it from watching the trailer itself, but it seems like this is sort of a love letter send-off for Tobin Bell. Not that he's dead or dying, I don't think, but he is 80, so that is an interesting concept, that this is more them being like, here's the actor who gave you this character, like here's the character played by the actor, and give him all the screen time in the world just so they can, you know, be done with that, as it were, which again they probably won't be. They most likely won't bring Tobin back, but I guarantee if this movie does well, again, there's going to be more. I mean, in hell, even the fans of this series are asking for it, so why wouldn't they? It's just because I say they shouldn't? Psh, that aside, yeah, Saw X, or Saw 10, I assume it's Saw 10, because the other ones were Roman numerals. Really fun looking. I'm actually curious to see it, just to know where it fits in the grand scheme. Not that I would even know at a glance, because I haven't seen the whole series for so long. And even then, when they tried to go back or reference other things, I was like, whatever. I just stopped paying attention at that point. But yeah, Saw. It's an interesting series. I'm glad they're giving it another go, or a final go. It's just funny to me. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. One of the things I found that shows the timeline, apparently there's a Saw the Final Chapter, and then there's like 2 other fucking movies after that. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. The Final Chapter. Yeah, there's never a final movie in horror series. It's always the way it's gonna be, somehow, some way. But yeah, I'm gonna stop blabbering, because honestly, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'm actually excited about this movie, not because it's a Saw movie, but because I can once again do my stupid fucking joke of saying, hey guys, I'm gonna go see Saw.